It is said that between 12th to 9th century BC, the whole land is devastated. So they are causing a lot of chaos. They are causing a lot of destruction. So they are people of destruction. They are destroying the places. So the first time we hear about the Philistines as the people who destroyed. That's the definition of them.
If there is a conflict going on at various places on this globe where they're talking about two nation theory, the common factor always comes out to be that there are outraged Muslims who are looking for a piece of land. Now the question arises, should we be calling it geopolitics or theopolitics? It again boils down to the same fact that it is theopolitics. एक बच्ची का जो थोड़ी देर पहले पार्टी करी थी, उसका रेप करने के बाद, उसकी बॉडी को म्यूटिलेट करने के बाद, उस पे खड़ा होके जब अल्लाह अकबर कर रहा है, उसके चेहरे पे जरा भी रिमोर्स, जरा भी दुख, जरा सी भी शर्म नहीं दिखाई दे रही.
जी, आभास, we'll start with you. एक बारी कुछ ऑडियंस से पूछ सकते हैं आपके मन में क्या क्या सवाल आते हैं when we talk about Palestine and Israel. कुछ क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे कोई भी? Anybody? जी,
बेसिक क्वेश्चन आता है लाइक इजराइल सही है या पाकिस्तान?
ओके, इजराइल सही है, पैलेस्टाइन. आपका क्या क्वेश्चन था?
सर, इस मुद्दे पे सवाल आते हैं कि पैलेस्टाइन और जो इजराइल है, वो उन दोनों की जो लड़ाई है, एक ऐसा दिखाया जाता है कि ये मतलब इजराइल जो है जो ज्यूज का कंट्री है और पैलेस्टाइन जो है वो इस्लामिक कंट्री. तो इन दोनों, तो ज्यूज और मुस्लिम का थोड़ा सा लड़ाई दिखाया जाता है. तो ये रिलीजन भी बेसिस है या फिर कुछ और भी रीजन है?
वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. ये लैंड का प्रॉब्लम है या इज इट मोर देन लैंड, और क्या ये सिविलाइजेशनल और रिलीजियस बैटल है? ये भी थियोलॉजिकल. यस प्लीज, आपका क्वेश्चन. थैंक यू फॉर आस्किंग दीज क्वेश्चंस, इट विल हेल्प मेक आवर सेशन रेलेवेंट.
जब हम बात करते हैं इजराइल और फ़लस्तीन की, तो इसमें सबसे पहला मुद्दा यहूदियों का आता है कि यहूदियों पर बहुत समय से अत्याचार होते आ रहे हैं. आज से नहीं, लगभग 2000 साल पहले उनकी पवित्र भूमि से उन्हें खदेड़ा गया. फिर उनके ऊपर एक होलोकॉस्ट हुआ है जो कि हम देख सकते हैं. तो एक मुद्दा आता है यहाँ पर जो सबसे मेजर है कि इजराइल, वो फ़लस्तीन बोलता है इजराइल उनके बच्चों को मार रहा है. वो एक जो उनका पूरा का पूरा एक कंसेप्ट है दज्जाल वाला, उसको लेके आ जाते हैं. दूसरी साइड जब हम न्यूज़ देखते हैं तो उसमें लगता है कि नहीं, फ़लस्तीन के बच्चे मारे जा रहे हैं, ना कि इजराइल के बच्चे मारे जा रहे हैं. तो एक बहुत ही डायलेमा आ जाता है. तो मैं इस बारे में थोड़ा जानना चाहूँगा.
जी, मानवता दिखती है कि यार इतना बॉम्ब कर दिया, 20,000 25,000 लोग मर गए, तो इसमें दोषी कौन है? क्या सीरियसली उनके ऊपर अत्याचार हुआ, जूस के ऊपर, या फिर जो अभी दिख रहा है सामने वो प्रॉब्लम है? तो हम पहले आभास आपसे शुरू करते हैं, थोड़ी सी सेटिंग करेंगे, बैकग्राउंड सेट करेंगे इजराइल के ऊपर. ये फ्रॉम द रिवर टू द सी, इजराइल और पैलेस्टाइन विल बी फ्री, मतलब इट शुड बी अ पैलेस्टीनियन लैंड ऑक्यूपाइड बाय जूज. ये पूरा नैरेटिव है. इस पे कुछ बताइए, द हिस्ट्री ऑफ हाउ वाज, is this Israeli land?
It certainly is the land of Israel. This is my opinion. And this opinion has come after a fair amount of reading about the subject. जैसे जितने भी ओपिनियन आपके स्टूडेंट लाइफ में जनरेट होते हैं, आपके पास भी बहुत सारे ओपिनियन होंगे. एंड बहुत सारे थॉट्स जो बाहर से आते हैं, आप जर्नलिस्ट को सुनते होंगे, आप अलग ओपिनियन मेकर्स को सुनते होंगे, अलग कमेंटेटर्स को सुनते होंगे. लेकिन जितने भी कमेंटेटर्स होते हैं, ओपिनियन मेकर्स होते हैं, दे हैव सर्टन बायस बिकॉज ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल एफिलिएशंस. एट टाइम्स इट इज़ बिकॉज ऑफ द प्लेस वेयर दे हैव ग्रोन, एंड दैट ऑल्सो creates some biases. But the moment we start looking into the facts always lies in the primary sources. And primary sources का मतलब ये होता है, ये वो sources हैं जो उस सर्टेन पीरियड में, यानी कि कंटेम्प्रेरी पीरियड में, जैसे हम लोगों के बीच में जो वार्तालाप हो रहा है अभी, उसके बारे में आपने कुछ रिकॉर्ड किया, सो दैट विल बी द कंटेम्प्रेरी प्राइमरी सोर्स. सो अगर हमको इजराइल को समझना है या पैलेस्टाइन की इशू को समझना है, तो इसको मैं ब्रॉडली अगर एक्सप्लेन करना चाहूँ, तो पहला पॉइंट ये होगा कि जो हिस्ट्री ऑफ जुडाइज्म है, that itself goes earlier than 2000 years. History of Islam by the conservative thought, though I have a very different opinion about the dating and when it emerged, I will not get into it today.
But accepted 1400 साल है.
1400 साल है. तो पहले मैथमेटिकल इक्वेशंस या फिर मैथमेटिकल कोरिलरी से इट इज वेरी क्लियर दैट पहले वहां पे ज्यूज का ही एग्जिस्टेंस था.
ठीक है.
नाउ लेट्स लुक इनटू द फैक्ट्स ऑफ इट.
और ये कैसे पता हमारे को, क्योंकि एक्सकवेशंस की बहुत बात आती है दैट
Yes.
वेयरएवर यू डिग इन द लैंड ऑफ इजराइल और
Yes.
पैलेस्टाइन, सारी जो एक्सकवेशंस हैं पॉइंट टू जुडाइस्ट
Yes.
ऑक्यूपेशन और सेटलमेंट्स ऑफ दैट लैंड.
सो ये सेटलमेंट एंड ऑक्यूपेशन एंड कॉलोनाइजेशन भी जो टर्म है वो बहुत यूज होता है. दैट ये बोला जाता है कि ज्यूज ने कॉलोनाइज किया लैंड को. So I will not refrain from using that word as well. But when we start looking at history, जितना रिकॉर्डेड हिस्ट्री या इतिहास हमारे पास है, तो एक मैं आपको एक छोटा सा प्रीमाइज दे देता हूँ कि मेरा एक ये मानना है कि एंड आई विल ट्राई टू लिंक इट इवन टू द आर्यन इन्वेजन बिकॉज दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट और रैदर आउट ऑफ इंडिया थियरी. सो हुआ है ये था कि 10 राजन युद्ध होता है एंड दैट इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड बैटल ऑफ 10 किंग्स एंड the losing tribes, they migrate out of India.
Yes.
And this has been very well established by a very scholarly work of Shrikant Teligiri, which remains unchallenged. No one has been able to give a rebuttal to it. And the people who migrated, some of them became the Persians, जो कि Parsu tribe कहलाते थे. Some of
Zoroastrians.
yes.
जी.
So, and the rift which happened among the 10 kings, जो राजा सुदास से जो बैटल हो रहा है, that also is on a religious line, whether it's gonna be not monotheistic but monalistic kind of a setup, or it's gonna be a polytheistic system. There is an ideological difference based on the religious line. Okay. And on that difference, this battle happens. And then in Persia, a religion is created, which is Zoroastrianism. Now, this monotheistic idea, to some extent, has got the birth. And it has got a lot of influence, and the place which we are talking about, jo Israel, which is a place of our interest, it is known as Canaan in that period, the land of Canaan.
Wow, it was recognized. This is in the Vedas.
No, this is
Referenced where?
so this is referenced in the ancient text of the Jews, and also
Of the Jews. Okay.
and also the Zoroastrians talk about it, the land of Canaan.
Canaan.
It's recorded.
Okay.
So the record of land of Canaan goes back to say some 2000 years. It's not so recent. What's very interesting is that land of Canaan is occupied by the people who are worshipping multiple gods.
Okay.
So then for the first time, the idea of a religion is established. And that idea of religion is about worshipping many gods, of which Yahweh is one of the primary god. Still, Yahweh has not become the distinct god.
Okay.
Then the idea of Yahwehism comes in before Judaism. Yahwehism, after Yahwehism, then we see the emergence of Judaism. That is where the religion of the Jews emerges. And that's where these people first start settling into small villages in the region of Canaan, which is what we know as Israel today. And each and every village has got a population of some 400 people. So there is multiple settlement. And by the end of Iron Age 2, we see emergence of a very strange kind of people, and we see the term Philistine come into place. Philistine comes into place as a word in around 1200 BC. Who are the Philistines? Philistines are the sea people.
Sea people
Who come from sea, who have perhaps come from Greece or somewhere around that. That's what they.
This is the etymology of the term.
No one has been able to crack it that way.
Okay.
But it is said that Philistines were probably the people who were the people of sea.
Okay.
As per the historical record, because history is certainly dependent on certain sources. If we don't have a source, we'll not talk about it. But the source which says that these Philistines are the people who are the sea people. And they come in, and Egypt, the king of Egypt has got a battle against the Philistines.
Okay.
It's happening around 12th century. And it is said that between 12th to 9th century BC, the whole land is devastated. So they are causing a lot of chaos, they are causing a lot of destruction. So they are people of destruction, they are destroying the places. So the first time we hear about the Philistines as the people who destroyed, that's the definition of them.
Okay.
Yeah. As the time progresses, now Israelis have begun to recognize themselves as a society which will not marry outside.
Okay.
The concept of marrying within the same clan, as in they are not going to marry outside their own organized religious system or religious order, is very well established. And by around 1000 BCE, we see the emergence of the kingdom of Israel. And the kingdom of Judah also comes in around 900 or 850 BC. So these kingdoms have emerged. We are still around, say, 800 this side plus 600, 1400 years away from the emergence of Islam. So
Okay.
the claim which is made by the Arabs or the Palestinian falls flat in the face, because there was no idea of
Islam existing at all
yeah, and at
until
this-
about 1400 years when the Judahs were firmly established in the land.
yes. And then they saw the invasions of Assyrians, they saw the invasions of Babylonians, and these are the people who are giving the fight against them. They are fighting them very hard. And the kingdoms of Israel is thriving.
To
It's-
protect their land.
Yes, yes.
Basically not be routed from their own land.
Yes.
Okay.
So they have this sense of fighting for the land. They have this sense of preserving their land. They have this sense of not letting this land fall in the hands of any of the invader, whether it's Assyrian, Babylonian, or anyone. And it's happening continually. And what's very interesting is that, jumping further very fast forward to the era of Islam, where one of the most important structure of Islam exists. This is the place where the instance of Miraj happens. Miraj is the situation where the Prophet Muhammad flew on the horse and went to the seventh heaven, and finally he brought the 5 prayers. So it becomes a very important destination for the Muslims. What is a point to be noted, that the Jews were also contributing in the construction of a place there, and that place was built over the second temple. This is built on the Temple Mount.
Okay.
So it also gives you an idea that probably the initial idea of Islam was not very much Islam, and it was kind of the Jews were looking that their temple is again gonna re-emerge or something like that, and these are asserted. So that's the reason why perhaps they never registered them that strongly when
As much.
Abdul Malik was building the structure.
Okay. And is that the reason, Neeraj ji, coming to you? I was interviewing some people who have a very strong understanding of Islam, and उन्होंने बताया कि कुरान में ये बताया गया है कि ये लैंड जूस का है और उनको प्रोटेक्शन दी गई है कि ये लैंड उन्हीं का है. ऐसा कुछ है क्या? ये कुछ आपको इसके बारे में, या व्हाट डज द कुरान से अबाउट द जूस, और इज देयर ओनली हेट फॉर द जूस? व्हाट इज, इस पे कुछ लाइट थोड़ी सी शेड करिए.
जैसा अभी कुछ स्टूडेंट्स ने भी क्वेश्चन पूछा था कि जब हम इस सारे को टीवी चैनल्स पे देखते हैं तो क्वेश्चन ये राइज होता है कि ये जो सारा स्ट्रगल है वो लैंड का स्ट्रगल है. दैट मीन्स क्या ये जियोपॉलिटिकल है या थियोलॉजिकल है? तो उसके लिए एक टर्म है थियोपॉलिटिकल. तो सबसे पहला जो हम इसमें अगर समझना चाहते हैं, तो अभी आभास जी ने जो कहा था कि ऑलवेज ट्राई टू लुक एट द प्राइमरी सोर्सेस. ठीक. तो यहाँ पर क्योंकि जो सारा कुछ ये जो शुरू हुआ 7 अक्टूबर को शुरू होता है कि इंसिडेंट चलता है वहाँ पे जो अभी हम देख रहे हैं. हमास के कुछ लोग आते हैं वहाँ पे अटैक करते हैं. अब हमास का जो प्राइमरी डॉक्यूमेंट है कि हमास का एक अपना कोवेनेंट है जिसमें वो बताते हैं कि हमास के क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं. अगर हम उन्हें देखना शुरू करेंगे तो उससे हम समझ सकते हैं कि ये जियोपॉलिटिक्स है या लैंड के लिए है या थियोलॉजी के लिए है. इफ़ यू परमिट मी, मैं थोड़ा सा वहीं से इसको कोट कर देता हूँ. द कोवेनेंट ऑफ, अब इसका टाइटल क्या रखा है हमास ने? द कोवेनेंट ऑफ द इस्लामिक रेजिस्टेंस मूवमेंट. इज इट सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी इन इटसेल्फ? उसके बाद स्टार्ट होता है इन द नेम ऑफ द मोस्ट मर्सीफुल अल्लाह. फिर एक कुरान की आयत आती है उसमें, मैं अभी उसे स्किप कर रहा हूं. और फिर जब डेफिनेशन आती है इसकी, तो हाउ डू दे डिफाइन इट? दे से आइडियोलॉजिकल स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट्स ऑफ हमास. आर्टिकल 1, द इस्लामिक रेजिस्टेंस मूवमेंट, हमास अपने आप में क्या है? सॉरी, हाँ जी बोलिए। हाँ, अपने आप में हमास का भी मतलब बनता है, वो एक एनाग्राम है जिसको इन्होंने हमास बनाया है। हरकतल मामलात व हमास, एस से अभी मैं भूल रहा हूँ उसे, लेकिन हरकतल मामलात ऑफ इस्लाम, इस तरह से कि वो अपने आप ही बता रहे हैं कि इस्लामिक मूवमेंट है ये। The movement's program is Islam. From it draws its ideas, ways of thinking, and understanding of the universe, life, and man. It resorts to it for judgment in all its conduct, and it is inspired by it for guidance of its steps. Article 2. The Islamic resistance movement's relation with the Muslim Brotherhood. The Islamic resistance movement is one of the wings of Muslim Brotherhood in Palestine. Muslim Brotherhood movement is a universal organization which constitutes the largest Islamic movement in modern times. It is characterized by its deep understanding, accurate comprehension, and its complete embrace of all Islamic concepts of all aspects of life, culture, creed, politics, economics, education, society, justice, and judgment. The spreading of Islam, education, art, information, science of the occult, and conversion to Islam.
So absolutely clear, हमास का ऑब्जेक्टिव इज एब्सोल्युटली क्लियर कि उनका सारा उद्देश्य, ध्येय, देयर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, देयर आउटकम्स इज द supremacy of Islam, establishing that. This is absolutely clear from their covenant. And ये एक public document है which is available. This was made in 1985 if I'm not wrong.
1988.
88. So this is a public document, आप गूगल कर सकते हैं और आपको मिल जाएगा। इसका हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन और ट्रांसलेशंस दूसरी भाषाओं में भी अवेलेबल है। मगर नीरज जी, I'll challenge you in this. This is Hamas. That is different from Palestine's. So maybe I'll take this question to Aabhas, right? ये तो what Neeraj ji just explained is Hamas. That is not Palestine. Why do you mix both of them? Hamas can still be a terrorist organization, but why mix it with Palestinians, right? It is still their land.
The point is, Hamas is offshoot of the Palestinian movement. And Palestinian movement is all about not respecting everything what even UN came up with. And we had 3 times it was attempted to make the two-state solution. But while Israel accepted almost all the time, despite being changed in the dynamics of the land and etc. But Palestinian movement was never in favor of accepting it.
Why?
Because the whole idea is that if you go back to the text of Islam itself, and it very clearly says that when the judgment day will be there, right? Then even if the Jews try to hide themselves, then the stone will come and shout and then say that Jew is here, come on, kill them. So judgment day is not gonna come or cannot be fulfilled unless you have really finished up the Jews. So, and this gets very interesting theologically because there are parts of the Quran which kind of says that Israel is a land of the Jews and they need to be given to it. And there's a whole list of the verses which talk about it. So, in case of...
And at the same time, the Quran
Yes.
also speaks about persecution of Jews. That
Yes.
stones will tell you that there is a Jew sitting
Yes,
behind.
and it is
behind
very
them.
interesting and very important to be noted because when you have this complex case of the contradictions, so you have to pick the thing which is a threat. Like when we are living a life and we have threat around, we see that in general our life is gonna be a simple one and it's good and everything is fine. But we still will follow certain rules and regulation to keep ourselves safeguarded. We will lock our houses at the night. We will not just let it happen that everything is... So you have to pick where the threat lies. So Jews are somewhere very clear about it. And that's the reason why since 1948 onwards at least, like there's a concept of the good Jews and the bad Jews. So like it's about the good Hindus and the bad Hindus too. So suddenly Hindus have become bad because they are just saying that please just give us back what we lost.
What? Yeah, the temples that belong to us.
Yes, and just give it back. And so suddenly we guys became the bad guys.
Yeah.
And so is with the Jews. So they were good till the time they were saying that, okay, we want to come and slaughter you, it's all fine. But 1948 onwards, they were a very changed people. They were not the same what they were in 1920s when they were trying to migrate into the state. And perhaps as the discussion goes
So they accept to split the original land of the Jews, which is historic and ancient, 2000 3000 years old, उसको वो split कर कर two nation के लिए agree कर चुके हैं और कई बारी agree करा है.
yes, they have agreed to it. But still, the standpoint of Hamas remains that they want it all.
Do the Palestinians want it all, or do the only Hamas want
So
it all?
again, what the Palestinian want, this is something which becomes a matter of opinion, because what happened on October 7 and the visuals what we saw onto the street when the hostages were being carried and the kind of jubilation which is being there, even the kids have been giving the gun and they are dancing with the joy that we have brought the and when we one needs to look at the anthem of Hamas, anthem of Palestine. So the anthem of Palestine is itself saying that you need to martyr yourself in the name of God. So you have to be a shaheed.
सही.
Shaheed for and
और ये वाला नैरेटिव बहुत पॉपुलर है यहाँ पर, भारत में भी, है ना नीरज जी? ये बहुत पॉपुलर नैरेटिव है कि आप बहुत सारे ऑन द स्ट्रीट मुस्लिम्स को अगर आप इंटरव्यू करते हैं, और कुछ इंटरव्यूज़ मैंने भी देखे जहाँ आप ये पूछा गया कि आप पैलेस्टीन को क्यों सपोर्ट करते हैं, अरे वो हमारे लिए आइडियल है, वहाँ बच्चा पढ़ने लिखने कमाने के लिए पैदा नहीं होता, वो शहीद होने के लिए पैदा होता है. ऐसा कुछ है नीरज जी?
so I'll just add one thing to it, and perhaps Neeraj ji can embolden it further. Yasser Arafat, the most liberal of them whom we consider, has said that the womb of
ब्रदर
the
टू इंदिरा गांधी.
yes, womb of the Palestinian women are weapons for us. He said it.
हर महिला की कोक is a weapon, because how do you do that? You basically produce enough children to I don't know, demographically outlast every other civilization. That is the narrative, that is how they think.
See, what has been happening is we've been from childhood ingrained to talk in politically correct languages. When Aabhas was talking about two nation theory, that there is this solution that there can be two nations, Israel and Palestine side by side, they can exist. Now, have we ever heard about this two nation theories, just these three words, two nation theory, in context of India also? We've heard it. We are hearing it with Palestine also. We are hearing it in context of India also. What is the common factor in these two? Muslims and Islam, right? So if we start beating around the bush and just look at one book that they possess, the one book that Hamas is referring in their document, that book is Quran. And no other document for a devout Muslim is worthy of respect as compared to Quran. Clear? If there is a conflict going on at various places on this globe where they're talking about two nation theory, the common factor always comes out to be that there are outraged Muslims who are looking for a piece of land. Now the question arises, should we be calling it geopolitics or theopolitics? It again boils down to the same fact that it is theopolitics. Once you go and start reading the verses of Quran, which I can quote on and on, they talk about Jews that they are the ultimate evil. Now, if their only God is writing in their only book that these are the most evil people, what are they supposed to do?
So it's a sanction from the creator of the universe to kill and maim,
And rape.
you know. So sanction जब किसी creator की मिल जाती है, तो अब आप बताइए एक इंसान जो अपने खुद अपने विचारों के साथ अपनी strength of his own thought, intellect, अगर वो खड़ा नहीं हो सकता, हम सब टर्न करते हैं, हम सबको वैल्यूज सिखाई जाती हैं, कुछ वैल्यूज एज किड्स, है ना? और उन सब वैल्यूज में अच्छा बनो, भगवान से डरो, ये सब कुछ बचपन से सिखा दिया जाता है. अगर किसी को ये बताया जाए, बचपन से ही ये बताया जाए कि ये बुरे लोग हैं और इनको मार देना इज द डिमांड ऑफ हमारा वर्जन ऑफ गॉड, तो वो कैसा बिहेव करेगा?
राहुल जी उसमें एक ऐड कर देते हैं ना, जब हम शहीद से शुरू कर रहे थे, नाउ एक बच्चा जो बचपन से पढ़ के बड़ा हो रहा है कि मारना है इनको, दे आर द अल्टीमेट इविल, और नाउ व्हाई वुड ही किल? ठीक है, व्हाई वुड ही रेप अ वुमन? अगर उसको कुछ एट द एंड ऑफ द टनल एक गोल्ड पॉट दिखाई दे रहा है तब वो करेगा। तो वो भी कुरान में लिखा हुआ है कि अगर आप इन्हें मारते हो, नाउ एक वर्ड बहुत लोग सुनते हैं जिहाद के बारे में। सी, ये जो जिहाद शब्द है इसके बारे में दो चीजें माइंड में उठती हैं। वन इज कि इसका मतलब है स्ट्रगल करना। सेकंड, इसके बारे में इंटरप्रिटेशंस अलग अलग हैं कि कुछ टेररिस्ट्स हैं वो इसे अलग इंटरप्रेट करके क्राइम करते हैं। ओके, अब मैं एक दूसरा वर्ड पूछता हूं आपसे, कत्ल का क्या मतलब होता है? मर्डर, राइट, टू किल समवन। कुरान में जो जिहाद वर्ड आता है वो आता है 35 टाइम्स, और किताल जो कत्ल से निकलता है वो आता है 123 टाइम्स। अब जिहाद में तो आप इंटरप्रिटेशन भी अलग कर सकते हैं, उसका मीनिंग भी अलग हो सकता है, लेकिन किताल या कत्ल का मीनिंग कोई और नहीं होता। तो द फ्रेज दैट कम्स इज किताल फी सबीलिल्लाह, फाइटिंग इन द कॉज ऑफ अल्लाह, 123 times, right? So there is no scope for interpretation, there is no scope for grammatical acrobatics. इसका एक ही मतलब है जो वो बड़े अच्छे से जानते हैं, एंड दैट इज वाई वो ये काम करते हैं। और प्लस जब वो ये करेंगे अगर, तो वो मारते हैं तब वो बन जाते हैं गाजी, और अगर वो मर जाते हैं तब वो बन जाते हैं शहीद। और जब शहीद बनते हैं तो जो अल्लाह है, जो ये कुरान लिखने वाला गॉड है, वो उनको सबसे हाईएस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ जन्नत में जगह देता है, विच इज नोन एज जन्नतुल फिरदौस। और उसके भी आपने कुछ ना कुछ तो जरूर सुना होगा कि वहाँ पे 72 वर्जिन्स मिलती हैं, वहाँ पे गिलमा मिलते हैं, वहाँ पे शराब मिलती है, वहाँ पे हर तरह का मीट खाने को मिलता है। तो दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ वर्जन, दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ प्राइस दैट दे आर लुकिंग फॉर। अदरवाइज कोई एक नॉर्मल ह्यूमन बीइंग, आपने टीवी पे विजुअल देखे होंगे, एक बच्ची का जो थोड़ी देर पहले पार्टी करी थी, उसका रेप करने के बाद, उसकी बॉडी को म्यूटिलेट करने के बाद, उस पर खड़ा होके जब अल्लाह अकबर कर रहा है, उसके चेहरे पे जरा भी रिमोर्स, जरा भी दुख, जरा सी भी शर्म नहीं दिखाई दे रही। क्यों नहीं हो रहा? क्योंकि ही इज इंस्पायर्ड बाय दैट पर्टिकुलर बुक, एंड दैट इज द क्रक्स, दैट इज द मीट ऑफ दिस एंटायर।
इसमें एक चैलेंज करूंगा नीरज जी, एंड वंस अगेन यू सी क्रिमिनल्स आर एवरीवेयर, दिस इज एन आर्ग्यूमेंट। तो आभास आपसे पूछूं, नीरज जी से पूछूं, मे बी नीरज जी से, क्रिमिनल्स तो हर जगह होते हैं। ऐसा दिल्ली में निर्भया केस भी हुआ था, इट वाज हॉरिफिक, हॉरिफिक, राइट?
आई गॉट इट, ओके। इट इज लाइक कि अगर आप रात को शराब पी के सड़क पे गाड़ी चलाएंगे तो आपका चालान कट सकता है, ठीक है। अब आप आर्ग्यूमेंट दे सकते हैं कि सारे शराब पीने वाले तो एक्सीडेंट नहीं करते, ठीक है, तो फिर चालान क्यों काटते हो? क्योंकि शराब पीने से एक्सीडेंट करने के चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं, दैट इज व्हाई इट इज एन ऑफेंस। लाइकवाइज अच्छे बुरे लोग सब जगह होते हैं, क्रिमिनल्स किसी भी सोसाइटी में हो सकते हैं, लेकिन जब आपको स्क्रिप्चरल सैंक्शन मिल जाता है कि आपकी ड्यूटी है ये किताल फी सबीलिल्लाह करना, तो यू आर बाउंड टू डू इट सूनर और लेटर। थैंकफुली हर कोई मुस्लिम कुरान के अकॉर्डिंग नहीं चलता, थैंकफुली, लेकिन अगर वो चलेगा तो उसकी प्राइमरी ड्यूटी किताल फी सबीलिल्लाह करना है, उसकी ड्यूटी हर नॉन मुस्लिम को मारने की है जिसे वो मार सकता है, और अगर वो ऐसा करेगा तभी उसको जन्नत मिलने वाली है। तो आई होप दैट आंसर्स यू।
यस, सो ये इम्पोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है, वी हैव टू लर्न टू डिस्टिंग्विश क्रिमिनलिटी फ्रॉम स्क्रिप्चरल और रिलीजियस सैंक्शन। क्रिमिनल्स एग्जिस्ट इन एवरी सोसाइटी, सो ये ना एक स्ट्रॉमन सिली आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि ये तो क्रिमिनल्स हर जगह होते हैं। दैट इज नॉट द आर्ग्यूमेंट। द आर्ग्यूमेंट इज कि क्रिमिनल्स हर सोसाइटी में होते हैं, बहुत ही बुरे काम करते हैं। सो पैलेस्टीन में भी बहुत बुरे काम हुए, बट उन वो दोनों का ऑब्जेक्टिव इज नॉट एमिनेटिंग फ्रॉम क्रिमिनल बिहेवियर, इट इज एमिनेटिंग फ्रॉम स्क्रिप्चरल सैंक्शन। दैट नीड्स टू बी अंडरस्टूड, ओके, देन यू विल गेट द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन। So, Aabhas, coming back to you, this Sara narrative TV में is about land, is about Israel occupying, West Bank is occupied, Gaza में अब घुसकर 1/3 of or 2/3 of northern Gaza has been destroyed. You know, so is you in your mind, Neeraj is clear, in your mind, is this an issue of land occupation, or like he's saying this is an issue beyond, this is theopolitics or whatever?
So, my perspective has always been that non-Indic faiths are very political in nature. Indic faiths, as in the faiths which emerged in the land of Bharat, making the distinction says Hinduism, as we call it, then Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism. These are the Indic faiths.
भारत में उत्पन्न
भारत में।
religions जो हैं, Indian originated religions.
And now I will not get into detail of it, but it was the virtue of the geography, the virtue of the diversity in climate, and the virtue of how the things exist in such a large span that we became the way we were. We were lucky. And that luck was certainly not on the other side, where the creation of religion was always about being political. If you see the sequence of religions, first we see that Judaism comes, Judaism comes, and what they have a man and a book. As J. Smith
So
says.
there is always a chosen prophet,
Yes.
if you like.
Then you have got Christianity. Again, there's a man and a book. You come to Islam, there's a man and a book. But why this pattern of man and a book is continuing? It is because for the land. It is for the sake of land. They want to occupy the land. And occupation of land can only happen if you are able to convince people that we are the rightful people to guide you in the right path, and if you will be under our command, like what happened in Persia. Persia was completely Zoroastrian, and when Islam came in, a lot of devastation happened, and people got convinced also at many of a point that conversion didn't happen so fast just because they were able to convert, but they were also made to believe that perhaps that is the only way to the God. They were convinced about it. And why they began to occupy the other religious places? Because again, it was about the religious places, the places or the center which have they are the power centers necessarily, and they will attract the people. And it is, if you want to control the people, if you want to control a certain polity, then you need the land masses. So yes, it is about the land, but it is again related to the religion, because that religion itself in believing in expansion, like how the works in our side. In the case of Islam, work is always, it's about the land grabbing tactics.
Okay. So, Neeraj, there is, if my understanding is right, everybody, according to Orthodox Christianity, is a squatter in the world, is squatting on the land of God, and equally in Islam, everybody is a squatter. Everybody is that true? Is this how it is?
Primarily, Islam creates two kinds of divisions. One is about mankind, that the entire humanity has been divided into two camps which are perpetually hostile to each other: the camp of Muslims and Kafir. They are against each other. One of them has sanctioned by Allah, and the other is called the worst of the creation, worst of all the creatures. This is one division. Second division is about land. The land which Islam has occupied is known as Darul Islam, and the land which has not been occupied is known as Darul Harb. And the Quranic sanction is, the Quranic command is that every Muslim, every devout Muslim has his faithful duty to keep on committing jihad, to keep on committing qital fi sabilillah, till all other religions, all other faith systems are finished off and only Islam prevails. So the division of land is there, the division of humanity is there.
Thank you, Neeraj. Do you know the, आप सब पाकिस्तानी आर्मी का मोटो जानते हैं?
ईमान, तकवा एंड जिहाद फी सबिलिल्लाह, ये उनकी आर्मी का मोटो है.
The entire army is based on pursuing the cause of jihad. So when somebody has that, there can be no peace with such a nation, because it's your final obliteration, completely wiping you out, is the only reason they exist. And that's exactly what Hamas is saying in their charter, openly. Pakistan Army is absolutely clear, Hamas is absolutely clear. It's not only about, we however much we like it, beat around the bush, the clarity, and thanks to them actually for clarifying that to us. The stupidity is on our part, who refuse to believe and constantly keep raising the bogey of all religions are equal, they all teach nice things. It does not do that. Most religions, a lot of religions don't do that. And इसमें थोड़ी सी honesty चाहिए हमारे को देखने के लिए.
And so just to add to it, and because we were talking about the motto of Pakistan, I was talking about the anthem of the Palestine. So the name of the anthem of that Palestine is Fidain. Any one of you know what Fidain means?
No? Somebody who is ready to lay down his life for the cause of Allah or the cause of Islam.
So if anthem of a state itself is calling upon you, as in calling it, it necessarily becomes the motto of everyone to become a Fidai. That's what, like if our national anthem is talking about Jana Gana Mana, likewise any anthem of any country it necessarily is about the ethos of that land. It's about the ethos of the people. So it's inspiring everyone to become a Fidai there. That's what the national anthem is saying. So in that case, when the question which you raised, that are the Palestinians thinking about it? Are the Palestinians are also the same player as the Hamas is? So Hamas was also chosen by the Palestine. They have the government, and they have more than 50% seats in the parliament.
500 kilometers of tunnels. If you allow any terrorist organization, if you call them a terrorist organization and you allow them to make those tunnels under your schools, hospitals, residential buildings, then there is some problem, some gray area over there, है ना? सीधा ऐसा black and white नहीं. तो अब यहाँ पर pause करते हैं और आप सबसे पूछते हैं, if you guys have any questions, any follow up, challenge करना चाहेंगे जी.
So you talk about how Hamas doesn't want a two-state solution and how they want to occupy the whole of Israel-Palestine area. But what about the Palestinian Authority? And wasn't it Israel who initially funded Hamas so that they can undermine the credibility of the Palestinian Authority, who has been asking for a two-state solution since the 1948?
See, when we are talking about any geopolitical instance, जैसे मैं आपको एक छोटा सा example देता हूँ. You were not reading anything and suddenly you started reading today. Just see it as a hypothetical case. And you see an article which has been brought by Time magazine, written by Audrey Truskey, about Ram Janmabhoomi Pran Pratishtha. So what it says, that it talks about how Hindu supremacism is coming into the play. Now, zoom out of it, and you just see that if you start capturing the history of it, that what the instance was, like how the temple was really destroyed, what happened, what went through the whole movement, what exactly is the case, then you will get a fair objective idea of what the situation was. Now, PLA came to a conclusion that we will accept to the two-state solution. It was very late. It didn't happen just from beginning, because PLA came into being itself to oppose the idea of creation of for the two-state solution. And as I told you, that the most liberal of them, Yasser Arafat himself, had these kind of words. So वो होता है ना, कई बार आप जब बड़ी लंबी लड़ाई लड़ रहे होते हैं, so last moment में you also fail to realize that perhaps कुछ solution कर लेते हैं, and that's where the thing had happened. But Palestinians really choose the Hamas. Now you asked about the Hamas was created by the Israel. Yes, I will not deny to it that yes, there were certain things involved wherein Israel was creating the counter forces against the PLA. It was there. But अब जैसे आप देखोगे, Al-Qaeda का ही हम एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं. So there were a lot of US was also very much involved in doing a lot of things. They were involved into it. But it doesn't mean that if we created a menace, now that menace should again fall upon us. They created it, and it does happen. It happens across geopolitics that some kind of organizations are brought into place which will
to counterbalance
counterbalance it. But
Al-Qaeda versus Taliban, but there are counterbalancing geopolitics.